Welcome to Gone Rush Movies Explained channel. We appreciate your interest in our content. Before you dive into the exciting world of movie explanations, we kindly request you to subscribe to our channel. The film opens with a striking juxtaposition of two women, one racked with agony as blood pours from her body, the other trembling with ecstasy. It's just a dream for Pauline, but the reality of her life isn't much better. Her sister, Grace, is confined to a rocking chair, hooked up to machines to keep her alive as she suffers from cystic fibrosis. Meanwhile, Pauline's parents, Bob and Phyllis, bicker over trivial matters like Bob not putting the toilet seat down. As the family sits down for breakfast, Phyllis scolds Pauline for eating too loudly, revealing her favoritism towards Grace. Phyllis's attempts to mold Pauline into the perfect woman only serve to push her daughter further away. Phyllis may think she's teaching Pauline how to be a woman, but in reality, she's showing her how not to be a good mother. In class, Pauline asks if it's possible to catch a disease from having sex with a dead person, but the teacher ignores her and moves on. Pauline overhears Natalie complaining about a bad sexual experience with her boyfriend, Adam, and Abigail teasing Natalie that her boyfriend might be gay. When Adam arrives, Pauline blurts out the conversation and adds that he isn't attractive enough to be gay. In the car, Pauline and Phyllis are on their way to a church to meet with a reverend. Pauline wants to see a therapist, but Phyllis says it's too expensive, showing Phyllis's lack of concern for Pauline's mental health. At the church, Pauline asks the reverend about the church's stance on organ donation, and he says they believe the body is sacred. Later, Pauline prays, confessing that she doesn't believe in God and apologizing for not reading the Bible as it has mixed reviews. She plans to have premarital intercourse and asks for forgiveness in advance, stating that God has to forgive her as long as she apologizes for it. The next day, Pauline finishes her exam first and tells her teacher that her answers are correct, stating that math is not important for her future as a surgeon. Phyllis tries to get Pauline to sign up for dance classes, but Pauline refuses and accuses Phyllis of ruining her life. At the dinner table, Pauline argues that she's too old for the cotillion class, but Phyllis insists. Grace expresses her excitement to join the cotillion class, and Phyllis smiles. Pauline turns to Bob, who is clearly indifferent. Bob's response angers Phyllis, and she walks out. That night, Pauline dreams of an autopsy body and climbs on top, licking it and rubbing herself all over. She awakens with shock in her eyes. At school, Pauline asks Adam to take her virginity, but he shows disinterest. She gives him her number, and he accepts out of politeness. Later, Pauline draws Grace's figure on the sidewalk and shares her plan to lose her virginity, even during her period. Phyllis intervenes and invites them inside. In another room, Pauline pierces her nose and dreams of being in a tub of blood with other women. She wakes up feeling euphoric, and her morbid dreams give us a peek into her degrading sanity and repressed sexual desires. At breakfast, Phyllis and Bob are upset with Pauline's new piercing. Phyllis demands she remove it, and Pauline refuses. Bob also orders Pauline to remove it, and she complies. Phyllis and Bob later have a conversation, and Phyllis expresses concerns about becoming like her own mother. Bob reassures her. Meanwhile, Pauline watches the neighbor, Kimberly, jump rope and approaches her to join, but Kimberly refuses rudely. Later, Pauline is on her computer searching for surgical tools when Adam calls to accept her offer and agrees to pick her up on Monday. In the bathroom, Pauline smells her bloody tampon and expresses her concern that her dead relatives are watching her. She worries they'll see her sleeping with Adam. Her family falls asleep on the couch while watching TV, and Pauline watches a channel with a man moaning. She dreams of being surrounded by a woman, a younger man, and an older man ready to devour her. She wakes up the next morning next to a puddle of drool. Grace plans to attend a camp for children with her illness. Pauline tells her mother she's going to study with Adam and gets a makeover from her. Adam arrives, and they leave together as Phyllis proudly waves goodbye. At a motel, Pauline and Adam quickly get down to business. Pauline asks Adam to undress, and they have intercourse. As they do, Pauline can't help but imagine choking Adam and blood pouring out of them both. She finds it exciting. Pauline asks Adam to go down on her, and when he feels strange, he goes to the bathroom. His mouth is full of blood, and disgusted, he takes her back home. Pauline is all smiles, thanking Adam for a wonderful time, but Adam curses at her and leaves. Phyllis greets Pauline and seems to know what happened. Pauline prays once again, this time asking not to make her pregnant because she would abort the baby. She has another dream where a bloodied fetus comes out of her and gets sent into a washing machine. Phyllis informs Grace that her friend from camp died and tells Pauline to be kind to Grace as she's going through a tough time. Pauline suggests other alternatives for Grace's lung transplant. Due to the risks, Grace tells Bob that the worst part of having cystic fibrosis is losing friends. At church, Pauline is uncooperative with the Reverend, stating that her condition requires science, not religion. They end their discussion without progress. Pauline prays, asking for the power to save Grace in exchange for her mother's life. The next day, Kimberly visits and asks for donations for her jump rope club. Pauline threatens to perform a tracheotomy on her. In the locker room, Natalie and Abigail mock Pauline's appearance, and Natalie mentions that Adam is available as they broke up. However, Pauline declines as she doesn't think he's good in bed. Pauline contemplates undergoing an umbilicoplasty to change her appearance, but deep down knows she's not doing it for herself. During dinner, Phyllis brings up cotillion class again and buys Pauline a dress, which Pauline expresses her dislike for. Pauline expresses her desire for marriage, and Phyllis tries to put the dress on her. Pauline asks Phyllis if she still loves her, and Phyllis says yes, but changes the subject to a cold sore on Pauline's lip. She then tells Pauline they'll have to avoid taking pictures. Pauline is frustrated and has a dream about a woman getting her tongue ripped out at school. She later vomits on Abigail after stealing and drinking medicine from the home cabinet. At home, Phyllis confronts Pauline for stealing an Ipecac bottle from the cabinet. Pauline admits it and confesses she only did it to escape cotillion, but Phyllis is unrelenting. She tries to make Pauline presentable at the dance, but Pauline stands out among the teens. Finally, Pauline finds a lonely girl who relates to her but suggests surgery to fix her face. The girl is taken aback and leaves. Grace gets caught kissing a boy, and Phyllis scolds her. Pauline is dancing with a young boy when he notices her cold sore and deems it disgusting, pushing her away. Pauline, feeling spiteful, kisses him in front of everyone, causing a scene. Phyllis is disappointed and takes her children home. At home, Bob cleans muddy footprints. Phyllis reflects on her children's behavior, and Grace coughs while Pauline bites her nails. Pauline sneaks to the library to study lungs, but Phyllis calls the school and finds out she was absent. Phyllis slaps Pauline when she comes home, and at dinner, Pauline throws food at Phyllis and runs to her bedroom. She later overhears Phyllis telling Bob that she can't love Pauline. The next day, Pauline finds a dead bird on the way to school and takes it home to try to save it, but it's too far gone. She licks the bird's blood off her fingers. Phyllis knocks on her door, and at dinner, Pauline and Bob discuss the toilet, but Phyllis interrupts, saying it's inappropriate. Pauline tries to leave, but Phyllis doesn't allow it. Phyllis criticizes Pauline for her weight gain and blames it on menopause. Later, Pauline prays and apologizes for her sexual desires but blames it on God for giving her hormones. She has a dream where women caress her as she retrieves her own severed head from inside a corpse. The next morning, Phyllis speaks with Pauline and admits to her own shortcomings as a mother. She reveals that her own mother was abusive and doesn't want the same relationship with Pauline. Pauline deflects her mother's attempts to connect and leaves. The next morning, the family wakes up to find their house vandalized. Pauline suspects Natalie and Abigail and seeks revenge by attacking Natalie at school. At the principal's office, Pauline blames her actions on her mental health, but her parents never took her to see a doctor. At home, Pauline tells Phyllis that she probably has a personality disorder that has gone undiagnosed for years, and her actions are a call for help. Phyllis disregards this and sends Pauline to her room. In the bathroom, Pauline carves a red cross symbol on her arm and is scolded by Phyllis during dinner. Phyllis and Bob express disappointment, and Bob mentions that she won't have a career in medicine. Phyllis calls her delusional. Pauline dreams of being worshipped with blood and guts at breakfast. Phyllis tells Pauline they're sending her to a psychiatrist, but Pauline believes it's too late. Phyllis later learns that Grace needs a lung transplant, and Pauline overhears, promising to help Grace live long enough to get married. Grace asks Pauline to be her maid of honor at dinner. Pauline expresses gratitude for her parents' tolerance and tells them she wants to change and help with Grace's illness. Bob is supportive, but Phyllis is skeptical. As night falls, Pauline thanks God for her newfound determination and measures precise dimensions for surgery. When her mother is away, Pauline slips a powder into Bob's tea. They talk, with Bob urging her to be more understanding towards Phyllis. Outside, Pauline apologizes to Kimberly, luring her to the garage with the promise of old jump ropes. But when Kimberly's guard is down, Pauline swiftly covers her face with a rag and drags her inside. She then fixes her sister's hair, promising that Grace will be grateful for what's to come. As she leans in for a hug, Pauline covers Grace's face with a rag, rendering her unconscious. The stage is set for the ultimate surgical procedure, one that will change everything. In the bathroom, Pauline cuts her hair off while preparing for surgery. In the garage, Grace and Kimberly's lifeless bodies lie open. Pauline meticulously removes Grace's lungs and replaces them with Kimberly's. Meanwhile, Phyllis arrives and sees Bob tied up and unconscious. She looks for her missing daughters while Bob struggles to break free. Finally, Phyllis gets to the garage and comes face to face with Pauline's handiwork. Pauline invites her to see Grace's sutures, apologizing for her sloppy technique. The film ends with Pauline urging her mother to take a closer look. Phyllis runs towards her, grabs her, holds her, and screams hysterically. Pauline, at first seeming proud, begins to sob. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications to stay updated and receive more content like this.